Zena, I'm trying to get ready to do my video. Why do you have to be so cute? Why do you have to be so cute? I like Grandma's recipes too. Here's a piece of paper. I want to sit on the paper. You're making me nuts. Love you. Howdy, howdy, howdy. We're in the kitchen today and we're going to get a cooking. So this is a long recipe. This is actually a 2-dayer. So I'm going to do bits and pieces today, finish it up, and then cook it tomorrow and show you guys the finished product tomorrow. So this is Mom's Guadalajara chicken, and if you live in Texas, this is also known as ranch chicken. I don't know. I'll try to cook it today, but Mom says a minimum of 8 hours. So let's go through the recipe. So she says that for Guadalajara chicken, you are going to need 1 chicken. So I'm using boneless, skinless thighs because it is a lot easier than doing the whole chicken thing. And also the price per pound right now, my grocery store has a deal going on with thighs for under $1 a pound, but a whole chicken is like $1.50 a pound. So use the one that's cheapest for you. If the thought of dealing with the chicken is like not on your cup of tea, then you can get a rotisserie chicken and just shred the rotisserie chicken and just skip this whole part. She says 1 dozen corn tortillas. This is actually 20, so 1 dozen corn tortillas cut into large pieces. 1 large can mushrooms with juice. Mom loved her mushrooms with juice. 1 can chili Ortega. So we have 1 can chili Ortega diced. 2 cans cream of mushroom soup. So remember I mentioned that HEB has a cream of poblano and a cream of jalapeno. So instead of using cream of mushroom, I'm going to use these guys because I like flavor. I like a lot of flavor. So the more flavor I can get going, the more flavor I'm going to make happen. So cheese, I like Monterey Jack grated, so I've got pepper jack because remember I'm all about flavor. And chicken stock, I also have some chicken stock that I've had in the freezer that has a ton of flavor, so I'm going to be utilizing that as well. A clove of garlic. So here's the instructions. Put the chicken in a pot, cover with cold water, bring to a boil. Lower heat and simmer till scum forms. Clean off the scum. Add a little salt and pepper and garlic. Continue to cook until meat is tender. Remove chicken from the stock. Save the stock. Allow to cool. Then skin and cut chicken into bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to be shredding my chicken. So bite-sized pieces, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So in a large container, mix the soup, the mushrooms, the chili, and 1.5 cans of stock. Place 2 tablespoons of stock in the bottom of a greased 9x12. Mom loved her 9x12. She sure did. Put down a layer of tortilla pieces, then some of the chicken, then some of the soup mix, then some of the cheese. Keep repeating these layers until everything is used up. Repeating, okay, wait a minute. Everything is used up. Cover with foil and allow to stand at least 8 hours or overnight in refrigerator. This basically turns the tortillas into, I guess you could say like a pie, cake thing? I don't know. Anyways, remove from fridge about 1 hour before you start cooking. Remove foil, top with cheese. Cook at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. Allow to stand for about 10 minutes before serving. So, like I said, with the chicken, I'm just going to use these boneless, skinless, and one thing, you know, if you do it in the Instapot, you're going to have chicken in 20 minutes. But if you do it low and slow on the stove, since this is already going to be a 2-day ordeal to get this recipe for you, I'm going to do the low and slow on the stove, because I think that's going to make a more flavorful chicken and dish. So what do y'all think? Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll be back in a bit when I show you what I've done with the chicken. All right, so this is the wonderful world of starting chicken in cold water. So I've got my Dutch oven on. I've got my Dutch oven going, and let's see if I can get you a slightly better view. There we go. Got my Dutch oven going. So I'm going to open up my chicken, and I'm just going to put it in the pot. So these are boneless, skinless thighs. They've got a ton of flavor. I prefer using them over like a whole chicken, or using just a chicken breast, because I think chicken breasts are just dry and icky. So we got those in there, and give me a second while I wash my hands. So I want this chicken to have a little bit of flavor, so I've got some flavor elements going on. I've got a rib of celery, and I just rough chop these nice and big, because they're not going to be part of the final dish. They're just going to be adding flavor to the chicken stock, which is going to be part of the final dish. So we're adding it in here so they can all just get all happy together. So we're going to throw that in there, and I also have half a brown onion. So I got that in there. Okay, now I like to throw in a chili pod. So this is chili arbol, or if you're lucky enough to have these little guys from New Mexico. These little guys from New Mexico. So I'm going to put in just 2 pods, because they're pretty strong. And then the last thing I'm going to put in is a good old bay leaf. Now, you know, bay leaves are one of those weird ingredients that if it's missing, you know, but nobody really knows what bay leaves do. Really, they do, because, you know, people have been using bay leaves since, you know, I don't know, ancient Roman times. So, yeah, so a couple of bay leaves, a couple of chili pods, and I have this garlic salt blend. And what it is it's big chunky salt with some garlic stuff. So I'm just going to do a couple of cranks of that. We're going to be salting and adding a little bit more salt later. And then I'm going to throw in a few peppercorns. And like Mom said, we're going to just start this puppy up. And when the scum forms, I'll show you. I'll be right back. Alrighty then. So it's been about 20 minutes. And as you can see, we have that notorious scum forming, which, you know, my mom so talks about. So there's a couple of ways that you can remove the scum. I recommend you can either use a big spoon or you can use a gravy ladle. I'm going to use a gravy ladle. And that's all you do, is you just go in there and you scrape it off, throw it in a bowl. And what the scum is just impurities, and it's unpleasant things you don't want to eat. So it's a variety of things. You can YouTube what exactly is the scum that forms on top of chicken when you boil it. So Mom said at this point, let's go back to Mom's instructions, because I think she said add the garlic at this point. So it doesn't matter that I'm scooping up some of those flavor elements that I threw in there, because like I said, they're not part of the final product, so that's okay. And so remember, we want to keep that broth. So let's see, just a little bit more. Perfect. All right, good. So we got the scum off. We're going to move this down to low and go back to Mom's instructions So Mom said, put chicken in a pot, cover with cold water, bring to a boil, lower heat and simmer till scum forms, clean off scum, add a little salt, pepper, and garlic. Continue to cook until meat is tender. Okay, so we're just going to cook a little bit more. We're going to throw in a little bit of garlic. I threw in the peppercorns, and we're going to cook until this meat is tender. All right, the timer is screaming for me. What are you screaming, timer, timer? Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to turn off the heat and we're just going to let this meat cool down. And then once it's cool, if it shreds, it shreds. If it chops, it chops. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to go into a casserole anyways. So back in a bit. Okay, so we've had this chicken chilling for a little while with the heat off. It's about where I want it. It's not quite fork tender, but it still has some texture to it. It's not falling apart, but it is definitely cooked all the way through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take all of this chicken out. We're going to put it in a colander, and we're going to let it get even cooler, and then we're going to chop it up and get ready for our next phase of the Mom's Guadalajara chicken. Okay, I want to show you what this chicken's looking like. So here, it's cool enough for me to touch it, and as you can see, I can just pull it apart. And that's what I want. Is I want to be able to just pull it apart, turn it into shreds. It is a little warm. If you don't have chef fingertips and it's a little too warm for you, you can continue to let it cool as you get ready to turn it into shreds. Now, Mom said in her recipe to just chop it into bits, and we're going to be doing that and layering that in the various, and you know, between the tortillas and the soup mix and all that other good stuff. But I like shreds. I don't know. I just think the texture, that piece is a little warmer than I can handle. So, yeah, so you just, you know, so you can just do that. And so, like I said, you can, you know, you could have done it in the crock pot and had this done in about 20 minutes, but I kind of wanted the extra layers of flavor. The other thing that we're going to do is this pot of stock that we have, we're going to strain it, and that's going to be the stock that's going to go over the tortillas, that's going to soften and turn into our Guadalajara chicken or ranch chicken, depending on where you're at. So yeah, so see how it's all nice and shreddy like that? That's what we want. And so that means that this chicken is cooked the way that it's supposed to be cooked. And so I'm going to finish shredding this, and we're going to strain the stock, and then we're going to start getting ready to put this puppy together. Okay, so we have our chicken and we've shredded it. We've got, so there's our shredded chicken, and we've got, we saved some of the chicken stock. She said 2 cans worth. And so now we're going to start assembling per her instructions. So we've got the 9x12 casserole dish, and she says to grease it. So you got a couple of options. Spray grease always works really, really well. Okay, so we've greased the pan. Now she says, okay, clean it up, remove the chicken, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Mom says, in a large container, mix the soup. So we have a can of crema poblano and a can of crema jalapeno, or you can use 2 cans of crema mushroom, whatever you happen to have. I usually call the crema whatever. We're going to save one of the cans because we're going to use that to measure our chicken stock. All right, so the next thing she says is, in a large container, mix the soup, mushrooms. So we have the can of mushrooms with juice, chili. So this is our can of Ortegas. and 1.5 cans of stock. So here's our chicken stock that we saved from cooking our chicken. We're doing 1.5 cans. And she said in the bottom, put a little bit of chicken stock in the bottom of the pan. Put down a layer of tortilla pieces. So we've got our tortillas, and she said just rip them up and put them into big pieces. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to lay them on in there, make them all. So we want a layer of tortillas. Do even more big pieces. So we just want a layer of tortillas. Okay, then she says put down a layer of tortilla pieces and some of the chicken. So we've got some of the chicken, so we're just gonna kind of layer that in there. So some of the chicken, then some of the soup mix, and then some of the cheese. So we're gonna stir up our soup mix. And for ease, I'm just going to use measuring cup. So we're just going to do a little bit of that. Okay, and then we have the whole pound of the pepper jack that we've shredded. Then she says repeat. And so, you know, you can make this as pretty as you want. Remember, all of these layers are going to soak together and turn into the chicken, the Guadalajara chicken. Guadalajara, Guadalajara, Guadalajara. Yeah, so, okay, so we've got some of that. So she said more chicken. We're going to layer some more chicken. Then some more of the soup mix. Throw it in there. A little more of the cheese. And then some more tortillas. Now, she doesn't indicate whether or not your final layer should be tortillas or what, but we've got enough ingredients that we can do one more layer of everything. So we're going to do some more chicken. I'm almost out of chicken, so we're into our last layer. So that's the last layer of the chicken. And then we're just going to use up the rest of the soup. And we're just going to pour that on top. Let that all soak in. I think what I'm going to do though is remember I bought a 20 piece tortilla packet. So I think I'm just going to top it off with some more tortilla. Finish it up. So that, make it pretty. Oh, a couple more tortillas. Okay, so a 20-pack of tortillas. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the ingredients. And just keep on piling it on and make it all happy. So there we go, and Okay. So there we go. And then we have just enough soup left to cover this last final layer. Just smooth it all out. Now she says some of the cheese, okay. Then she says until everything is used up. So she says repeat layers until everything is used up. Then she says cover with foil and allow to stand at least 8 hours or overnight in the refrigerator. Remove from fridge about an hour before cooking, and then top with cheese and bake at 350. So I do have a little bit of cheese left. I'll probably, so she said put the cheese on the last, but I think I'm going to add more cheese when I'm ready to bake it. So we're going to cover this with foil. We're going to stick it in the fridge. We're going to let it do its thing and become Guadalajara chicken, and we'll bake it up and get it going. So be back in a bit. Okay, so Mom said that we need to take it out of the fridge and let it set for an hour before we cook it. So we've taken it out, and so that's what it looks like. The tortillas have softened, and it's getting ready to cook. So we'll let it set for an hour, and we'll stick it in the oven. Okay, so per Mom's instructions, we took them out, we took off the foil, and we've let it sit out for about an hour. I added a little bit of extra Colby Jack cheese, and because I got them, and I love them, we're doing the crispy jalapeno pieces, and we just threw a few of those on the top, and we're going to stick it in the oven for 40 minutes, and then we'll have Guadalajara chicken. Okay, my timer is just screaming at me. So let's see what we got going on in the oven. Alrighty. Yeah, so it looks like we are bubbly and golden, and so there you go. We've got Guadalajara chicken. Just a little point of order. I ended up getting 2 large buckets of chicken stock left over from the chicken that I cooked. Also, I didn't use my flavor enhancer because when I tasted it, it didn't have the right flavor profile for this particular dish. Also notice that I have a cooking sheet underneath my casserole, and that's just to catch any drips or ickies that might happen if this decided to cook over, which it didn't. So anyway, so there's Mom's Guadalajara chicken. Hope you enjoyed this recipe, and we'll see you next time.